I'm with this beautiful starlight sunshine angel, a beautiful person who I think is somebody who lives a life completely selflessly, whose thoughts are like magic. They are so powerful that she doesn't go approaching, people come approaching to her because her energy is so powerful. And that is why this sunshine has to be part of this sunshine life. She is a life coach and a beautiful teacher. And I think planet needs these beautiful teachers because we all know, we all remember our teachers who made us lift up. And that's what she does in her life. She lifts people up who've been stuck because of external or internal circumstances. She literally goes deep inside with them and lifts them up. How beautiful is this beautiful person, Lisa? Thank you so much for being part of my Sunshine Life project. And so
Thank
beautiful that you are.
thank you.
So I met Lisa during this book project, and apparently, thanks to her, our book has become an international bestseller on Amazon. And I'm so grateful to her because I saw her edit not just one or two or three chapters, but the complete book in less than a week and doing it so beautifully and calmly. Lisa, what makes you so beautiful? Why are you
Oh,
so beautiful?
oh, that's a wonderful compliment. Thank you. That is difficult to answer. But I think I would have to say that I'm comfortable with me. I'm comfortable with me because I've taken the time to connect my heart, my mind, my body, and my spirit. I think life is too short to be anything else but comfortable inside my own skin. So I guess that I would have to say that that connection is what helps me and drives me through my day.
But how are you so comfortable? What is it that you do that makes you this comfortable?
A couple of things. One is acceptance, accepting what is. And my meditation practice allows me to calm myself and center myself, which also allows me the opportunity to choose how I want to respond to outside forces. And so when things happen, I get to choose how I'm going to respond. My happiness is mine alone. And I don't hold anyone else responsible for that. And so it's how I choose to be. And so I think being calm, being wise, relying on my powers of zeal, imagination, and wisdom, it's all about that connection, about being whole and living a complete life.
What happens when something from external comes in and shakes that up a bit? How do you handle that?
I call it, there's two things. One is the pause. You pause and I do a breathing exercise. And then there's another thing that's called push. Push. Pray until something happens. And so I push. And so I'm able to choose how I want to respond. So rather than respond in a negative way and to go crazy, and it's like, that's too much energy. When I need to see the solution to a problem, typically the solution is there. We just need to step back and look at something with fresh eyes. And so when we're all upset, we don't have those fresh eyes. Think of a child who's a 2-year-old who's crying and upset, and you're trying to talk with them. They can't hear what you're saying because they're involved in that chaos of the moment. But when we can calm them and then speak to them, they're open to listening. So as an adult, I want to remain open to listening.
Wow, Lisa, I think this is so beautiful. I use a lot of pauses. I I practice a lot of pause, but this is the first time I've understood push as not just this push, But a push that comes in like this, wow, I think this is so beautiful. You filled up this entire space with nuggets of enlightenment. I can literally say that because you've taken such beautiful terms and you made it so beautiful. I think anytime I'm going to hear the word push, I'm going to think about that and not just this. How beautiful. So, Lisa, how are you thriving during this time? Not just emotionally. I know emotionally you're beautiful as a person, but on various aspects, whether it's physically, spiritually, socially, financially.
So for me, I find it very important to get centered. So I meditate and I go within. And that allows me to connect my heart, my mind, my body, and my spirit. And when I do that, I believe when anyone, we all do that, we're able to operate from our authentic selves. We're able to make sure that we create self boundaries. We're able to say no. We're able to do what's right. And we're able to be of service. And when we put out that type of energy, it comes back and we're rewarded in so many ways.
I love that. And I think I have truly experienced that with you in this Power of Vibe movement and this beautiful book that's become a bestseller. Incredible thanks to you because, and I know that you did that very quietly. And you were so quietly doing your work that others took a stand and spoke that we need to talk about this lady. And I can truly vouch for that. Yes. But Lisa, how are you like that? How are you so grounded? How are you somebody who works so selflessly and who thinks like this? How? What makes you this beautiful person?
Oh, thank
Please
you.
shower that light. And I want this answer to be a little longer as to why and how are you such a beautiful person?
Thank you. Thank you. Well, Dr. Kitty, it wasn't always that way. It's when I was a little girl, I was in a very dysfunctional family, and I ended up running away from the abuse and all of the things that were happening. And at that time, I can remember I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and I can remember asking God to protect me. And I made a promise to live my life with grace and dignity. Well, as I continued to grow, and again, life was difficult because I was out on my own. I had to go to school and I had to go to work, and all of my friends were living typical lives of teenagers, and I wasn't. And then I moved in and I got married at a young age. I had my children, and I was so busy taking care of my children that I forgot about me. I forgot about myself because I was so busy taking care of everyone else. And then I had a terrible divorce, and my children grew up and left home, and I was by myself. And I realized I didn't know who I was, because if I didn't have my job, if I didn't have my husband, if I didn't have my children, what was left? And I realized it had to be me. And then in 2015, I had a medical emergency, and I have bilateral a pulmonary emboli, and I had emergency open heart surgery. And I can remember the night before the surgery praying and telling God I was so grateful for my life, even if it was a rocky road, but I had learned a lot of lessons, and that I appreciated that I was able to accomplish so much, and that I had children and grandchildren, and I traveled the world. But then I said, but God, I don't think you're done with me yet. I think there's more for me to do. And if I survive and wake up, I am going to make my mess my message.
Wow.
And as a teacher, I believe we do that by example. So I'm just going an example would be when my children were younger, on my refrigerator, I put a saying and it said, "Your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear what you say."
Wow.
And so I believe it's important for our actions to speak louder than our words.
I think I'm never going to forget this one. Please continue.
So I decided that I was going to make my mess my message. And so when I woke up from the surgery, the doctors came in and said that they couldn't understand why I was still alive. That the emboli, the blood clot that was stuck in my right atrium, had gotten away and they couldn't find it. And so one of the thoracic surgeon was going to close me up, but the anesthesiologist saved my life because he said, "She's open. If we close her, she's gone. So let's keep looking." And they looked for 45 minutes and they found this emboli and took it out. And I survived. And I told my doctor I had faith that if I survived, God had more for me to do. And so he did. And so what I did is I said, okay, how am I going to get my message out there? How can I tell women that even though you might feel like your life is at a dead end, it's not. It's a crossroad. There are choices that we make. And when we think, whatever we think about, we actually can manifest. And so if we think we want a better life and we put feet on our prayers, then we can. Again, it means taking action. And so from all my research, and you probably can confirm this, what we think about leads to our feelings, and our feelings lead to our actions. And so when we take the time to center ourselves, again, center yourself, I listen for the God whispers, and I'm able to listen and do what is mine to do. So when God tells me that I can be of service and it will help people, then I try to be of service.
I, I have no words. Wow. I think so. You worked. First of all, I'm so grateful to God for saving you and having this experience with you. But I think you spoke so beautifully well that make your actions so powerful that you don't need words. And I clearly know that you are a person who lives by that. But Lisa, I want you to elaborate a little bit on the thought bit. What do you mean by thoughts? And what do you mean by, so, like it transmits into feelings? I would want anyone and everyone who's listening to understand as to what does she really mean by that.
Okay, so a lot of times, if you meditate, you get interrupted with all these thoughts that come into your mind. Sometimes it could be, oh, I have to go and make dinner, or I need to go buy this, or I need to call so and so. These thoughts just kind of meander into our minds. Well, same thing can happen when you have a smell or you hear some music. It brings a thought back into your mind. And sometimes those thoughts are not pleasant. Sometimes it's negative self-talk. I'm not good enough. I can't do that. I'll never amount to anything or be worthy. When you have those negative thoughts, those will bring on those feelings that will squash you down. You need to be the light. You need to open that up. And to do that, we reframe those thoughts. We change them. We shift them. We learn the power of yet. I might not know how to do something yet,
Yes.
right? So think back to when I had my children. I have two boys. And when my baby boys were learning to walk, and they would fall down. I didn't tell them, you're not good enough, you can't walk. No, I encourage them, stand back up, try again. You have to have practice. And when you practice, you'll get better. And when you get better, you'll be able to achieve, you'll be able to walk. So the same goes for women. The same goes for our thoughts. If I have a negative thought and say, I don't know how to do the technology on my computer,
Right.
and I allowed that to squash me, I need that to go away. I need to lift that and reframe that thought to say, I don't know how to do the technology yet.
Yes.
There's a power in the word yet. And so I'm willing to learn. Now I've opened my heart, my mind, my body, and my spirit, my thoughts to learning. And when I open my thoughts to learning, it brings on that momentum for the feeling of, yes, I can do this. And then I put the feet on my prayer. I take action and I do it. And when I'm successful at one thing, it can ripple out and I can be successful at more things.
Yes.
So it just ripples.
It's so beautiful. But Lisa, I love the thought of yet. I think that's something I'm going to practice for my own self. That today, when we feel stuck, or I think when, as they say, when something shuts, something else opens up. But I think your concept is even more beautiful because you say, keep everything open always. You know, the more open you are towards everything, more things come to you. And I think that's such a beautiful concept of yet and being open. Lisa, were you somebody who always had this divine, connection the way you have it today? The way you feel there are whispers that come to you and everything?
Yes, God has whispered to me throughout my entire life. The problem, Dr. Kitty, was I didn't listen all the time. So, um, so being quiet and centering myself and being open to listening. We do an awful lot of talking, right? But we have two ears for a reason. We have
Yes.
one mouth, two ears. We need to do more listening. And when we do more listening, it's like a light shines on whatever it is. So let me give you another example. So for me, a lot of times, if I have a problem, I believe in routines and rituals.
Okay.
So I'm going to use sleep as an example. So for years, I've had trouble sleeping. But then when I started changing my habits, when I started building routines, and rituals around my sleep, it was like my circadian rhythm started to, I was getting in tune with them. So I shut the computer off. I shut the lights off. I go to bed and I do my gratitude journal and I write down what I'm grateful for that day. I do my prayers, and then I typically in my prayers, my prayers are of thanksgiving. I feel blessed. I look for the gratitude. But then I might say, Father, Mother, God, the world is in chaos right now. Or I have this problem here. I don't see the solution, or I don't know what to do. Guide me. And then I go to sleep. And then in the morning, when I get up, I might not have that answer right away. But as I begin my day and I go back into prayer, I go back into my meditation, I listen. I listen. And then it's like, wow, why didn't I think of that? It was just, I had to wait until I was open and ready to hear it. And so it's purposeful. It's very purposeful. And it's that routine of listening and being open to listening.
I had I think if I was smiling this much, my smile went even more wider because I actually tell people to use sleep as a magic wand. That, ask a question, because I do that for my own self, and answers like really pop up. And I think the second beautiful thing that you pointed out is, meditation is listening. It's all about actually listening. And today, I think it's so important for all of us to listen and check into everything that's happening within us. What beautiful things. So, Lisa, before we end the session, what is the one thing, you've given so many amazing points, but I'm gonna stretch it and take as much beautiful sunshine, light energy that you have. um what is that thing that you would tell anyone, because you actually work with people who are stuck, right? And they are probably at the dead end because of a certain external situations in their lives, and you are somebody who's actually been through them and risen above. So you're literally like this starlight, this sunshine angel, who's lived her life, who's not just talking but who's experienced it, and is talking from that wisdom. So what would you tell people out there who today feel that the doors have shut, or are at a little lower vibration energy, feels, are feeling alone, or whatever, they've been losing stuff? What is that beautiful advice that you told yourself that helped you pull up? What would you say that to everybody?
Well, so I follow the philosophy of the Indian proverb, a house with four rooms. And I tell everyone to think of themselves as having four rooms. You have a physical, a mental, an emotional, and a spiritual room. Now, the proverb says that you have to be careful. You don't want to just go into one room and spend a lot of time. You must go into each one of these rooms daily. You don't have to spend a lot of time there, but you must go in to your physical room, your mental room, your emotional room, and your spiritual room daily, even if it's just to open a window to air it out. So the one piece of advice that I give my new members is to give themselves permission. Give yourself permission to be kind to you. Give yourself permission to go into your physical room, whether that means taking care of your physical body or the physical space in which you live. Do something daily for your mental, your intellectual well-being. Learn something new. Practice. Have a great conversation with someone so it opens your mind. For your emotional well-being, it's important that you're able to cope. And so you need to practice your life management skills so you can cope when outside forces are going on. So you can, let's face it, all you have in your control is how you're going to respond. So you want to make sure that you're calm and can respond appropriately. And then for your spiritual well-being, I turn to meditation and prayer. And again, going out into nature is another way to commune with God, the universe, with spirit. And so give yourself permission to treat yourself daily to visiting your four rooms.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I think, Lisa, I am truly learning a lot from you. I'm never going to forget these forums. That is so beautiful. And I remember it shows up on your profile as well. And I always used to wonder, what does this mean? But today I actually love the way you explain these forums. Thank you so much, Lisa. It's so beautiful. So, Lisa, you live in Seattle, right? One of, I think, the most amazing, it's called paradise for a lot of people, for people who love the outdoors. Please tell me, how is it really that amazing to live out there?
For me, yes. In a simple word, yes. So for me, I believe that we have to ground ourselves. So we take off our shoes and we touch the ground. And when you can do that in a place that has the beautiful mountains, the water, and for me, when I see an eagle and eagles fly by, it reminds me of the great majesty of what we have and what's available to us, not only outside in nature, but you can bring it inside. That same power can be within you. And so, yes, that it's just the Pacific Northwest is beautiful. It's green and it's just majestic. It's a place that everyone should have on their list to visit one day because it is just beautiful.
So, Lisa, I think you are in that place because you are beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I was actually called to come to Washington. Do you have time for a quick story?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Oh,
so
great.
so in 2012, I went on the Camino de Santiago. It was my first spiritual pilgrimage. I started in France and climbed up over the Pyrenees Mountains and went all the way across Spain to Santiago Cathedral and then on to the Atlantic Ocean. So it's over 500 kilometers. And so the first day when I was walking up the mountain in the Pyrenees, and the first place we stopped, I was sitting on this deck, and it was supposed to be a beautiful view of the mountains, but it was all fogged in. And so I sat on this deck and I was praying. I closed my eyes and I was praying, and I was asking God for a sign to move to Washington State. And I said, I don't want to make a mistake because I had set up my career. I had tenure. I had worked at the college. I worked at a school. I thought my life was in order. And so I'm praying about whether or not to give that up and start over. And as I'm praying, and I say, I know this sounds childish, but God, please give me a sign that I will be okay. And as I said, amen, two gentlemen were sitting at another table and they were asking each other, where are you from? The first one said he was from Boston, Massachusetts, which is where I'm from.
Okay.
And I'm praying. And the second one, as I say amen, he tells that gentleman he's from Seattle, Washington. In the middle of a mountain in France, as I'm praying for a sign whether or not to move to Washington, this man says he's from Washington. And so I thought, God, that's a good sign. And so when I got home, I packed up and I moved cross country because I
Wow.
thought it's where I'm supposed to be right now. Again, I want to walk the path that God illuminates for me. And so that's what my life is about, is living the best life I can. And so Washington, the Pacific Northwest, being able to see the snow-capped mountains, the Pacific Ocean, the rivers, the eagles, it's fabulous.
I think that's why you're flying so high. Wow. And would you call yourself as a very happy is too underrated for a person like you? But how would you describe your state of life today? Like, how would you say, it is today?
It's just one of Thanksgiving. I appreciate that I have this opportunity to continue to live, to continue to experience. I have my children and my grandchildren, and to be able to be witness to their lives and see them grow. Oh, it's magic. It's magic.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Lisa, you use such amazing words that I connect to. Eagle is the bird I love the most.
Me
I
too.
every time. So I live in Mumbai, a city which is compared to New York, but I think the joy that I get, and I'm blessed because I live by the sea, that the joy that I get when I just look up at the sky and see those beautiful birds, and I always look at the eagle wondering how beautiful. It has so much focus. It's not alone. It is in such a beautiful drive that it enjoys. And I think I love that you spoke so beautifully well, because I think connection with nature is not just looking at nature, but actually living like nature, right? And when you said that eagle is right here, I think there was a connection that it hit me out here. How amazing.
Nice.
Lisa, I'm so grateful that I met you.
I'm grateful too. What a wonderful experience. And I believe God brings people in your life for a reason.
Yes.
And so if we have the ability to change one life,
I
how
think
magical is
I
that?
don't think you're going to change one life, because one life has already happened. So it's gone beyond one life for sure. But I think, you just made sure for a person like me who believes that, just work on your internal. And when I say internal, including all the four rooms, yes. But when you are at a very high functioning, everything will come to you. You did not go looking for an answer. You just sat in that quietness. You just embraced it, and you were just waiting for an answer, because the answer was just here. And the answer came right with two men who were sitting right besides you. I think I love the word magic, and that is why you may know why I love the word magic. But I think, really, thank you so much, because you've really lit up my life. I am really happy, finishing my evening off. I'm going to sleep so beautifully well thanks to you today.
Terrific.
Where I connected with someone so amazing, Lisa. I think the world needs more people like you, and I'm sure there are a lot of people like you, but I'm really grateful that, I got to meet you, and I'm so thankful to you. Please stay this beautiful always, this amazing always. And I know you're just going to rise above. And when I say rise, you're going to take a lot of people with you. And I think the work that you do, your coaching work of lifting up women, do you even do men, or it's just women?
It's mostly women. There are a couple
Women.
of men, but mostly
Okay.
women.
So, the way you lift them up, I think they are going to be such blessed souls. And I hope, you charge everybody like you, like the way you did to me. Thank you so much.
So, thank you. Thank you.